You're listening to a Bammsters podcast. Go listen to something else.
Hello guys and welcome back to episode 22 of Rated R, a Bammsters podcast. Yes guys, welcome. We've got quite a lot of news today. We're going to be talking about lots of tech, the YouTube dramas, because, you know, it's newsworthy to an extent, boring news nonetheless, but still news to the extent, and we're going to be discussing the PS4k in quite a lot of detail because there's quite a lot of information out there. G Torq is joining me today, guys. G Torq, say hi.
Yes, Bamm, thank you for having us on this time. Lots of interesting news, but as usual, we should probably just mention this is available on RSS feed and MP3 over on the website, and it's available over on YouTube. Watch it wherever you want, or hear it wherever you want in your car, or computer, or tablet, so however you have fun.
Yes, guys, and as always, please like, dislike, comment, and subscribe if you guys want some more awesomeness content delivered to your eye holes and your ear sockets. Brilliant, guys. G, take it away.
Well, just so we're not getting that many dislikes or any complaints, so either people like it or nobody watch it, and we should just give up on this thing.
Yeah, I think it's that nobody actually watches it, so that's the actual reason why.
Well, let's start out with some tech thingy. You know the PC master races like Draconis, and that's the only PC master race I know, they really like their graphic cards.
Yes, they eat graphics card like chips dipping in guacamole sauce. Graphics,
They're about to go broke, I guess, because there's a new nVidia graphics card, the 1000 series, about to launch, which means there will be a 1080 graphics card thingy coming out in this May, like now.
Sorry, dude, I don't know much about it. I'm not a PC master racer. I used to have a PC until it befell a coffee accident, and ever since then I've kind of been out the loop of all this nonsense. So, yeah, dude, do tell. This is interesting.
Okay, so they're coming out with the 1000 series, where the current one is the 900 series. The top of the line will be the GTX 1080, which is coming out May 27 in the US at about $600, 600 euros, or 450 Great British pounds. So it'll literally cost more than a new console for us. Have fun, guys. Spend your money wise. But here's the good one. According to nVidia, it will be twice as fast as the $1,100 Titan X. So anybody who bought a Titan X recently? Ha ha, ha ha.
I don't know what to say to that, G. These PC master racers seem to be spending, console money on just a small little graphics card, just so they can play their game. And not only that, they probably have to upgrade the RAM as well. And if you upgrade the RAM, probably have to upgrade something else, or whatever. So for us peasants, it looks like the console still wins out. Yeah.
Well, at least there'll be a 1070 coming in June for $379, so that's literally the price of a new console. But they're going all out in dear nVidia, like 16 nanometer FinFET process. That's the photolithography size of the transistors inside of it. And they're saying it's 3 times as thermally efficient as the 900 series. So it runs a lot faster, like twice as fast as the top of the line current one. Be 3 times as thermally efficient, so it's running colder. And it will have 8 GB of the fastest RAM they could find anywhere. So, I mean, it's a beast, but it's, a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. I'm going to spend my hard-earned money on a console where I can actually play games. It's all well and good I can spend £1,000 on a console on a PC, but I'd much rather spend half that on a console where I can just quite literally pick up and play. But that's just me.
We'll get to that later in this episode. I just want to point out one thing that's really interesting, because we know VR is the buzzword. We don't know whether it's going to be a hit, but it's definitely the big thing these days. And apparently this can render 16 streams independently, or 16 views independently. Now, you use one for each eye, so I have no idea what the other 14 are for. I don't know if PC master races are now so degenerate they're growing extra eyes. But that's at least going to be a step up, that they can now render each view independently. And nVidia had a little note. They've spent several $billion, like I think it was $4 billion in R&D on this damn thing. And as the head of nVidia said, that's enough to go to Mars. So we could send people to Mars, or we could make a graphics chip.
Well, speaking about graphics cards, and enough to go to Mars and all that jazz, believe it or not, the global games market has reached $99.6 billion US. $1 billion, all that stuff. It's grown in 8.5% compared to 2015. So, gaming is becoming a bit of a thing. Smartphone, mobile gaming has still surpassed PC. Consoles are still ahead of PC. I want to say the PC master races are dying, but we all know that's not going to happen ever.
Yeah, just like APAC, I saw the numbers. They're like 46.6 billion. They're almost half the bloody market. For those that don't know, APAC would be Asia Pacific. So everything from, technically everything from the Ural Mountains east. But yeah, that's actually pretty huge.
They need to start marketing games more towards them lot, because that is basically half the bloody market, because the US is 23 and the EU is 23, roughly around there. So yes, I agree, it's half the bloody market. Advertise more of that kawaii anime stuff. I think I'm being a bit thingy here, but you know what I mean. If Asia's half the market, well then gear your ads more towards them. I mean, that's what I'd say.
Well, I can say that I'm actually going to go back to school to redo my Chinese lessons for this. So in the future, we might have rated R in Chinese.
Yeah, believe it or not, G, we actually have 3 people from China who actually do listen to this podcast. Hello, how are you? People from China. Ni hao ma? Come se va? Wait, that was French. Bonjour, wait, that's Italian. Whoops.
You'll get there eventually.
Yeah, obrigado. Oh, wait, hang on. That's Portuguese. Oh, wait, hang on, what?
Well, while you try to remember how to say things in other languages, and I'm still waiting for the clicking sounds in whatever you do.
Oh, yeah, bo, go. Oh, yeah, yes, si solo win. Oh, yeah, bo. Aish.
Oi. To move on, to gracefully slide into the next topic, somehow, I don't know how, Activision. We all know them, we love them, they make video games. Well, I don't know if we love them, yeah. We tolerate them, is that okay?
Tolerate, I think, is the most word that I want to lean towards, because I don't like Activision. Their marketing is horrible.
Okay, we have words about Activision, they're the best words, we're just not going to say the words. Well, they recently had an earnings call, which is a big phone call with investors and sponsors and important people, and press actually tends to show up because it's a public thing, everybody who owns shares can kind of call it. And the CEO went completely balls to the walls about esports and saying it's the best thing ever, and esports viewership is greater than the individual audiences for NHL, Major League Baseball, whatever that is, and the NBA. So he's really thinking esports is going to be the thing. The bee's knees, I think, is the term you use up where you're from.
The nuts, mate. Not bee's knees, but nuts.
Okay. Sorry, I can't keep up with the British these days. I just noticed he left out football because, and I mean football as in the real football, not hand-egg, because that actually has viewerships that go beyond all of those sports and esports.
You mean soccer, yeah? For the people that know it as soccer, yeah?
Football, yes.
Soccer, bro. Soccer, yeah? I grew up with it being called soccer. It's bloody soccer, yeah?
Oh, no, I understand why they call it soccer, because sometimes I also want to suck you.
Most people do get in line.
Anyways, he's saying Call of Duty, Hearthstone, Overwatch, they will have audience in excess of any of the most well-known sports leagues. And just so people understand this, a random football match between Real Madrid and FC Barcelona, that has more viewers than, what's that thing, the hand-egg, they do Super League, Super Bowl, that they do in the US. Like, a random mid-season match in football will have millions upon millions viewing this thing, tens of millions, literally. So I'm a little bit, Overwatch is fun, but I don't see tens of millions watching that thing.
I agree there. I don't see tens of millions watching Destiny. At the end of the day, just a video game. I don't think it'll be a permanent thing. I think it'll be more of a passing thing, So that a new game comes out, everybody watches it for a first few months, they get bored of it, move on to the next new game. I don't think it will hold its audience like the NFL, baseball, basketball, all that stuff. Those hold their audiences, whereas these ones will be fleeting, so they'll move on from one game to the next. That's what I reckon will happen here.
Well, you remember we had our good friend Chicken Wing on a few episodes ago, or a lot of episodes ago.
Chicken Wing!
They're getting into it, and they're actually maintaining the viewership.
Well, it looks like wargaming.net is actually doing something right, and whatever they're doing, keep doing it, guys. You're doing a bloody good job. Well done, Chicken Wing. Saber Wing.
Just don't teach Activision, because they apparently want to become both the NFL and the ESPN at the same time.
Yeah, okay. I'll have to believe it when I see it, mate. Right, G. Now we get on to the very, very juicy part of the news. As I'm pretty sure a lot of people around the world have actually noticed, YouTube is in turmoil. Oh my god, turmoil! and it's all to do about something called YouTube drama. Now, this should be actually called stupid YouTube drama, or YouTube stupidity, and to be honest, mate, it's completely boring, but because a lot of people have actually actually told me to actually comment on it, fine, I will comment on it, great. Here's my comment: it is dumb. Find something else to entertain yourselves with. Basically, what's happened is some guy called Markiplier made a video saying YouTube's changing. He contradicted himself in almost every single sentence because he kept saying it's a useless freaking comment. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Fair enough, Mark. You didn't know what you were talking about, so shut up. Then came a guy called PewDiePie, the godfather of YouTube with something like 45 million subscribers. The granddaddy of everybody. He added to the stuff saying YouTube's changing, drama, blah, blah, blah. Boring. And then another guy called Matthew Santoro, but just recently pulled up for plagiarism, thanks to a guy called Grady Underay. If you don't know who Grady Underay is, you have been living under a rock for the past 2 years. So basically, it's all to do around that. Central to this is a guy called Keemstar. That guy is a massive troll. Do not trust him. So basically, you've got, in my opinion, you've got all these dickheads causing shit where there is no shit. So it's just boring. It's news. I've commented on it. There you go, guys. Done, dusted. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I know that commenting on it adds fuel to the fire, but you wanted my opinion. There's my opinion. G Torq, do you have an opinion about this, or you just want to go back to bed, dude? Because it is really fucking boring.
Well, I've been living under a rock for the last 2 years. Let's be fair. I have no idea who any of those people are. And I mean, I read CNN and Fox News and lots of things. I've not heard about it, but it sounds like, if I'm getting this right, this is YouTubers talking about YouTubers, complaining about YouTubers, whining about YouTube.
Being stupid and dumb. That's almost exactly what it's about. People saying that there's drama on the thing. YouTube shouldn't be about drama. I'm sorry, but it's a media platform. It's a social network. Of course there's going to be drama, and of course there are going to be people following the drama stories. That's what Fox News is all about. That's what CNN's all about. The drama, the theatre, the antics of it all. People want to know about it, so a lot of people cater towards it. Hence this Keemstar character, So it's boring. Seriously, guys, go find something else to entertain your days with. It's really not worth knowing about. It's actually dumb. So, there we go, done. Opinions from me and G Torq. We're probably going to get fucking buried alive with all the hate now, but who gives a shit? That's our opinions about it. It's dumb. Move on. It'll be gone by next week, Tuesday.
One last thing, one tiny little bit. How can this be a thing? This must be for people who are so tiny that, nobody else cares about it. There's nothing outside of YouTube that cares about this, so... As I said, I follow various big websites and even deign myself to some of the nastier ones like Fox News, Faux News, and they pick up really shitty stuff from the internet and they haven't even touched this. You guys are dealing with small things.
Small potatoes. There's better things in the world to worry yourselves about, more things to concern yourselves about. Concern yourselves with those things, world peace, world poverty, all that bullshit. So go ahead and sort yourselves out with that. If you guys really want to make a difference in the world, be the change you want to see. Not the stupid drama shit. Anyway, that's it. Done. News over. Moving on to PS4k and the Bammsters. Opinions about that, guys. Thank you very much for letting us bleed your ears dry in the news section.
This is an advert. An advert for bacon. Go eat some. Do it now.
Hello guys and welcome to the second part of our little podcast, right, the PS4k. We're going to be discussing it. G Torq and myself are going to talk to you guys about the facts, the hardware, and ultimately do you actually really need it? Believe it or not, Grit Breather has actually joined us today as well for this chat, but serious tech freak over here. Unfortunately, the rest of the guys were busy with real life, so they aren't able to make it. So it's just me, G, and Grit. Grit, say hi to everybody.
Hello everyone. I'm here so you don't have to endure Bamm. No wait, you do. Never mind.
G Torq is with us as well, guys. So G, your introductions, please, sir.
I already introduced myself during the news. People are already listening to me.
Yes. Sorry, dude. It's beer. I've had too much beer. Can you tell? Okay, so we're going to start with the PS4K. Basically, guys, if you guys aren't aware of this...
The Xbox. We start with the Xbox.
Oh, right, the Xbox, right. So basically, we're going to start off with the Xbox One because the Xbox One for some reason. I don't really care about the Xbox One, so I haven't actually done any research on it at all. But I believe my good friend G Torq has. So G, please enlighten me as to what Xbox are going to do to try and beat the PS4K.
Well, at this point, they're actually going to do nada, nothing, not at all. The whole thing came up. Let's jump back a bit and say, well, there was that rumor about the PS4k, PS4.5, whatever. And then somebody from Xbox, particularly the head of Xbox, Phil Spencer, went out and said two things. One, he said they want to build a platform, with a software platform, not a hardware platform. And he said, oh, it would be good if we could upgrade consoles during the actual cycle. So you could take the graphics card out and put a new one in. Or you could take the RAM out and put more RAM in, something like that. Upgrade pieces, much like they know on Windows PCs. And people freaked out because that means both of them, both the PS4 and the Xbox, are going to do mid-cycle updates and there'll be all sorts of things. Except it doesn't. Because here's the fun part. The platform they were talking about, that seems to be Windows 10, that they want that to be everywhere. And yes, by everywhere I mean on the console as well. That's where it's coming, if it's not there already. And the whole upgrading thing, that was just an idea. They're not going to do it. Phil Spencer went out and said specifically there will not be an Xbox 1.5. There will not be a step-up Xbox. What there will be, what we know, is AMD has an agreement to do a console release thing, a console upgrade for Microsoft this year. So there'll be an X1 that's probably a dice rink, or something that's small. Like we know on the PlayStation, they always release these smaller PlayStations. There's going to be something similar on the Xbox One sometime probably this year.
Yeah, you see, that makes sense. The Xbox One is huge, and it doesn't need to be as big. So perhaps maybe they need to chop some plastic out of it and hopefully upgrade it that way, maybe. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, anything, a dice rink means less heat, which means they can make the whole thing smaller by having less cooling going into it. It can be quieter because it's fairly loud.
Hang on. Are we basically saying... Now, if we think back to a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, the Xbox came behind the PS4 in performance, gamer friendliness, anything basically related to how games run on it. So what we're basically saying now with the PS4.5 or whatever Sony's going to call it, there's going to be a slight step forward, that the Xbox will be 2 steps behind?
Well, yeah, but again, they seem to be focusing on the software side. So they're saying, well, you will get the same games, or at least that's their intent, get the same games on PC and on Xbox, and they're trying to make more cross-play, and I guess they do have the whole Microsoft network thing is slightly better than it is on our PlayStations. So they do have some advantages. But yeah, on the pure hardware side, they're going to be a little bit further behind. But they're only going to have one hardware platform, whereas what we'll talk about it soon will be PlayStation having 2.
You know what this sounds like to me? Do you know how Steam have put out a box that can stream and play any game via the cloud? And basically the cloud streams the game to the actual console and you just input the control, whatever. I think Windows are probably going to be doing that. Think about it. Because they've got an Xbox, they can already run stuff, okay, and let's be honest here, it's double the size of the PS4 with half the freaking power. Okay, it's not necessarily true, but in those sorts of senses. Still got some good power behind it. So you probably find they're going to use the cloud to stream games to the Xbox One, and then whatever hardware is on the Xbox One can run specific games locally, or, you know, they can offset the power needs or the processing needs between the cloud and the actual console itself. Would that be a viable option for the Xbox One? Because it sounds to me that's what they're trying to do.
Well, before anybody starts in the comments killing us, the Steam boxes can actually run games locally. And you can already transfer games between the Windows and the Xbox, like you can do remote play to the Xbox. So it could be relevant that they can do something like that. There are, I think, was it Battlefield and a few other games that actually supports that part of the game is running in the cloud, that it's doing some of the calculations. But that turned out to be really expensive and really awkward. So I'm not sure they're going to go too deep into that. But yeah, something where you could, I mean, if they're really going for the software platform, something where there could be others making Xbox consoles. Although the rumor has it, literally just the other day, from Italy of all places, because we trust Italy with our tech news, there'll be an Xbox Next coming out within the next few years. Like, it's not anytime soon. But that thing is going to be 4 to 5 times faster than the upcoming PS4.5. So, yeah, it's a little bit all over the place, but all we really know at this point is they say they won't make a mid-cycle upgrades. They say that they want to do a software platform.
Well, just to get back to something Bamm was saying about streaming games from the cloud and offloading performance and stuff, isn't that basically PlayStation Now?
No, because, yeah, the way he described it, PlayStation Now does that, but that has a lot of issues like latency. It doesn't work with hardcore shooters, which is, I guess, one of the main areas for these consoles. Whether that's going to be it or what they're going to do, don't know. But if they're going to release this Xbox Next, that will be 4 to 5 times more powerful. I suspect we're probably going to see less of that whole cloud thing and more local rendering.
Well, about that as well. I mean, you say this Italian unnamed source or whatever said there will be a next Xbox within a few years. Well, yeah, duh. 2018 is supposed to be the next generation of consoles, so yeah, obviously.
Well, I don't know if we can say absolutely 2018, but that seems to be the target. But on that whole thing, we'll have to wait until we get more news like Gamescom and other events this year. They'll probably start talking about it.
Yeah, well, this Xbox Next, or whatever it'll be called, I don't know, Xbox 2? Something? Maybe Xbox 360 again? I don't know. It will have to stand up to the PlayStation 5, or whatever that'll be called, which I'm guessing will once again blow it out of the water.
But that's a question I said, what we'll come to in a moment, the PS4.5k-Neo, whatever. If that's coming out, are they going to hit 2018? Or are they going to say, you know what, no PS5? Because they literally at one point said there will be no PS5. They said that, yeah. Once the PS3 was out and they were starting on the PS4, they said that would be the last thing. So it's a little bit up in the air what's going on. But I'm sure there'll be a PS5.
Gaming's changing. It is. It's a point of fact. Gaming's changing. And to actually buy a bit of hardware to play video games is probably going to be a thing of the past. We're already buying electronic versions of games to still run to the actual hard drive of the game, and then using the console to, to grunt itself through the actual, needs of the game before it plays it. So we might find in a couple of years that all you have to do is buy a VR headset, and it has all the techie nonsense, whatever, in the actual headset, and all you have to do is play it. So in a sense, you'd be streaming games to the headset with a controller or a control type setup. You to be honest, mate, I cannot tell you what's going to happen in the future because nobody knows. And if someone in Italy says, oh yes, meow, 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 I'm going to have to take that with a pinch of salt. I don't trust what news that comes out of Italian from an unnamed source, not necessarily Italian, but any unnamed source. I have to believe it when I see it, unfortunately. You never know, gaming might still have consoles in the year 2020, year 2015, whatever. 2015? Year 2030. It's good news because I've always been a more of a console-orientated person with, the controller, TV, the actual console itself. I've always had that. But to go to a full-on VR experience with a headset and using the VR headset as a screen, you just don't know. We just don't know. So, yeah, all very good ideas, all very good chats. Yeah, what do you think?
Well, before we jump on to the next one, I just want to touch on, you said, gaming is changing. As you said in the news segment, the biggest market right now in gaming software-wise is mobile. Gaming is changing.
Yeah, gaming's changing for everybody. Mobile is surpassing quite a lot of people. Them Candy Crush, whatever saga, whatever the hell they call them, the chick with the shiny arm and blonde hair. It's changing because if you can get games to the masses will then spend money on that game, which is why a lot of people have gone for the PS4. Not only was it cheaper, it was more powerful, which is why Xbox lost out. I do believe it was more of a price point that the Xbox lost out to the PS4 than anything else. But yeah, gaming for the masses, gaming for the masses, cheap and affordable. These PC Master Races with their billions and billions of dollars spending on billions and billions of graphics card, where I can take the amount it costs one graphics card to buy a PS4 or a phone that can download free-to-play games. Which would you prefer? I know which one I prefer. Console or a phone or a tablet for that matter that can play games. There are a lot of cool games out there on tablets. I'm a big fan of Angry Birds. I like my Angry Birds.
Well, if I could just jump in here and say, ooh, yeah, gaming for the masses and gaming's changing and all that, blah, blah, blah. But look at where the world's going. I mean, we come from the 1980s that was full of really basic-looking games, but some of them were extremely deep with lots of story behind them, lots of lore, lots of interesting, sometimes hidden mechanics. Some of these games were text-only games where you actually typed in what you need to do. Things like walk forward, oh no, a forest, walk left. Then you go to the 90s, which started discovering better graphics and stories slowly started declining, but still you had amazing games in the 90s. 2000s started a bigger decline of basically where we are today, with quite shallow games where most of the development and design goes into eye candy, but not much behind that eye candy. And then you have today where, yeah, most of game consumers are using their phones or tablets or any other mobile device. But look at these games. I mean, you go from this amazing content at the beginning of gaming to people clicking to create rows of 3 or more types of candy. Come on.
Well, you see, now that's interesting, because in the 90s, you had, yes, better graphics and PCs and color screens and all that jazz. I mean, one of the most favorite games I loved that came out of the 90s was Red Alert. Now, that game has a shit ton of lore behind it. You know, in the early 2000s, you know, Halo. Okay, I know Halo came out in 1998, but the Halo stories, a lot of eye candy, but still had a lot of lore, still had a lot of stuff behind it. You know, there are the odd cases. I just want to point that out. There are the odd cases, but yes, you're right. It's gone from something that's quite profound, something that's very engaging, to just eye candy. And yes, Angry Birds is just eye candy. It's just for a game to play while you're taking a shit on the toilet. That's exactly where I play my my Angry Birds. You know, I don't play my Angry Birds when I'm in the bus or I'm driving. Thank God I don't play games when I'm driving. I might have an accident. I play them in the high street when I'm just bimbling about to and from the shops, you know? Shoot this, shoot that, you know? So yeah, I agree to an extent, you know? It's gone from something that's quite deep, something that's quite, you know, engaging, to something that's quite casual. And another casual game that's coming out is Overwatch. Talk about the most casualist of lobby shooters I've ever seen. That is the most beautifulest looking bait I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, but let's get back to the Xbox One. We're actually talking about games now rather than the actual consoles. G Torq, anything else for the Xbox One?
Nope, I'll just say it sounds like we have another episode coming up where you two will be talking about nostalgic games.
Nostalgia and games. I really like my old games. I actually still play Red Alert, believe it or not. I do play Red Alert. It's actually a free-to-play game downloaded by a web browser. I've got it, I love it, I play it regularly.
Well, of course you play it. It's one of the only games that'll actually run on your computer now.
Very true. My Clockwork laptop's a bit shit.
Well, should we move on, or do you two want to?
Let's move on. Yes, I agree. Grit, PS4k. What is your opinions about it, sir?
Well, it's, I guess, sort of a mixture between a welcome appearance and sort of a wasted thing or something very surprising that should never have happened. I mean, the whole idea of a console is you buy it and it's there, just working and with lots of games on it for 4, 5, 8 years. And here suddenly they're coming and saying, yeah, consoles last for years, but you can get a slight upgrade after 2 years. And yeah, we promise that all of our games will still work on both consoles, and even the new ones will have to support your old one as well, but let's see what they say in a year.
Agreed. It's not a slight upgrade, it's quite a massive upgrade. But I agree with you in essence. It's a case of I bought this console thinking I wouldn't have to spend any more money on hardware for the next 8 years. 8 years? It's been, 4 years since PS4 came out? 4 years now? 3 years? God, 3 years. Let's say 3 years. I can't remember exactly, but 3 years since PS4 came out. And halfway through its cycle, it's pulling out a PS4K. What the hell, bro?
We know at least what Sony has told developers, that developers then leak to us. The cert process, the certification process, that is where the developers give their games to Sony and say, Sony, please verify that our game is good enough technically to run on your consoles and that we're allowed to release it. It's a little bit more relaxed now on PS4 than it was on PS3, but it's still there. that process sounds like it will be there, so you have to go through both on the legacy PS4, as I'm going to call them going forward, and on the new PS4. So a game has to run well enough on the old PS4. And if they deviate from that requirement, if they eventually allow Neo-only games, this thing falls apart. They can't do that.
You see, the thing about games and consoles and whatever, the developers develop for the lowest common denominator. So the PS4k guys are going to lose out to the PS4. Just how the PS4 lost out to a lot of PS3 stuff, because they were developing for the PS3, but then upscaling it to look pretty on the PS4. This is what's happened with Destiny. To a large extent, they're developing it for the PS3 or the Xbox 360, because it's, a better console than the PS3, and then making it look pretty in the PS4. So these PS4K guys or games are going to have to be developed for the PS4 games and then upscale to 4K, because it says, this, that, it's going to be 4K output, everything. No, it won't be. It'll just be an upscaled version of 1080 to make it look like 4K. Do you even have a 4K TV to make it look as good as it should do? Oh, no, I don't. That shit's expensive.
Can we take this one apart then and say,
let's do it.
Okay, what is it we're getting? What is it they're actually doing? Because you are mixing things a little bit. You're right in that they have to develop for the lowest denominator, but it's a little bit different than it was on the last generational change. On the last generation change, we had the PS3 with the weird cell chip. I love the cell chip. It's actually an awesome chip, but it's so different from what developers are used to, and developers are lazy. I know, I used to be one.
Go on then, G. Tear it apart. Go on.
Well, with the PS4, they went to something more Intel-like, more common, more generally known. So the difference in that shift was from a very foreign chip type and very foreign GPU type. Well, still NVIDIA, but it's somewhat foreign. Some weird RAM requirements, a lot of restrictions, onto a very well-known platform hardware-wise. Fairly well-known, I'm going to say. The API was somewhat known. There's a lot of commonalities between PS3 and PS4 API-wise. But this change will be from a platform to a identical platform that's just more of the same. Which means you can literally make your game so it runs on PS4 and then say, by the way, if you have the PS4K, just do more of this. Just do more graphics. Just do more of these. The burden with this new console platform is less than the burden was from PS3 to PS4 in the case of Destiny. But yeah, let's go down and ask, what is it they're actually doing? Well, the CPU in a PS4 is actually two CPUs that are quad cores. They're called Jaguars. That's the AMD name for these APUs. And they're running at 1.6 gigahertz. But in the new one, it's the same Jaguar cores, just running at 2.1 gigahertz. So you can just make your code run faster. And that means anything that is CPU intensive will just run a little bit smoother. It won't run better, it'll just run smoother. They can't necessarily do more with it. On the GPU side, the PS4 is weird. And it's the same thing on the Xbox. It has the same CPU and GPU more or less. It has 18 so-called compute units. On the PS4K, it will have 36. It will be twice as many compute units. The compute units you can use for graphics, but you can also use them for really advanced things like AI and laying out maps and stuff like... I know in Battlefield, people really go, yay, there's a big wall falling down in one of the maps. Things like this. You can calculate what is the actual effect, like physics. So you can do a little bit more physics, you can do a little bit smoother physics, or you can do more graphics, smoother graphics, higher frame rates, or higher resolution. But that's it. That's all you have to care about. You don't have to care about, oh no, my CPU is a lot different. Oh no, my CPU is a lot slower. No, it's the same CPU, it's the same GPU. You just have more of the same. That's kind of the way we should look at it. The increase in CPU is about 1.3 times, so people say 31% increase. It's not quite because there's some other headaches. On the GPU side, raw performance is 2.5 times as much. Something called flops, floating point operations per second. So it can do 2.5 times more operations per second, but that doesn't translate to twice the GPU performance. It depends on how you use it. Memory the same. Memory is going to be a little bit faster. Some say there'll be more memory usable, but I think that's going to be in the case of the base as well. So if we took Destiny, if Destiny came out now, what you would see is a Destiny for PS4 and Destiny for PS4K. Yes, the content would have to be the same, but Destiny on the 4K would be able to render it better, and the AIs would be able to do more advanced things, and any physics simulation could be more precise.
No, AI wouldn't be able to do more because AI if you're taking Destiny as an example, AI is server-side. So that's pretty much the same. But yeah.
Apologies, it's just one of the areas where you can use these compute units is for AI. You know, they're good at AI. They're good at things like laying out routes and figuring out how to get from one point to another point. They're good for physics simulation, these kind of things.
Yeah, but taking what you're saying and thinking about your example of Destiny and how some of the areas where improvements could come from just wouldn't work there. This highlights a different thing about crossplay between PS4 and PS4K. We might start running into some of the same problems that are making Sony say no to crossplay between PC and PS4. Just that slight difference of performance that could give you a slightly better rendering experience that could maybe give you a slight advantage in a firefight.
Oh yeah, when we're dealing with things like one platform, a game will run at 30 frames per second, and the other one will run at 60 frames per second, so-called temporal resolution. Yes, you will actually get a more precise aim in the 60 frames per second. You will be able to move more smoothly, you'll aim more precisely, etc. You can trigger your gun more precisely. That shouldn't... well, yes, it should keep them from allowing crossplay, but I think from a emotional point of view, it shouldn't. We should be allowed to play with people on both sides, even if the PS4K people will be slightly having an advantage.
I wonder if the PS4K will also come out with I don't know if a new controller, but possibly something similar to, what's the one, the recent one from Microsoft that's a revamped and about 10 times the price of the standard controller for the Xbox One? Maybe something like that.
There has been no news about it, so I don't think they'll do it. But it wouldn't be surprising if Sony at some point makes an upgraded version. They'll basically keep rehashing the old controllers.
That's not a bad fucking point there, guys. They might actually have to, because of all the upgraded tech and whatever, they might actually upgrade the wireless connection between the console and the controller. Better inputs equal better gameplay, surely. And they got a better console for it, so why not upgrade the wireless connectivity to the console and controller? That makes a lot of sense. So PS4K new controller, what does it look like? Is it going to be the same or just upgraded internals? Which I reckon that's probably what it's going to be, just upgraded internals.
They can't upgrade the wireless connection because that would make them incompatible. You can't just buy the same controllers. That would result in an extra SKU, stock keeping unit. Yes, I'm allowed to use that word because of my background. And that's not something Sony wants. Sony actually wants a few different parts on the shelves because of money. It's pure and simple. So I will guarantee you at this point there will not be a new controller. It will be the same. It will use the same Bluetooth-based interface for connecting to things. The alternative is too much money.
But this also brings up another point. So that's the controller discussed and out of the way. Now, how about PSVR? Some of Sony's points about PS4K are to support PSVR in a better way, even though the PS4 will still support it just fine, so I'm not sure exactly what they're going for. But will we, in a year's time, see PSVR 1.1?
That's a good point as well. Great, very good point.
I wouldn't expect it, but you do hit a really good one because better GPU, basically twice as fast CPU, allows you to put more data out. Now, the PSVR, as they've specified right now, has the same resolution no matter what you do. It's a physical resolution of the screens. You can only change the temporal resolution, i.e. the frame rate. PSVR uses a frame doubler, so I know they don't like the word frame doubler, frame projection method, where you do 60 frames per second and then they double that to 120 frames by interpolating the frames in between it. It's not just doubling it, they do a little thing with how you move your head and stuff in between them. But they also have the option of running it at 90 frames per second. A game can actually output 90 frames per second on the PS4 and then just have that sent straight to the headset because it can't double that. And if you try to take from 90 to 120, you get broken frames in between and that makes you sick. But a PSVR on a 4.5, that could probably do the 120 frames natively, or at least more easily do 90 frames per second. So it might be that they would try to avoid this frame projection, frame doubling, and just do a better output, because no matter what you do, 90 frames per second might be better than the doubled 60 frames per second, but 120 frames per second native is definitely better than 60 frames per second.
You see, now that's very, very interesting. You know, the PSVR is, I believe if you're playing on the PSVR, it's obviously two eyes, so it's two screens set at 1080 by 960, I think it is. Now, it's going to be running at 90 frames per second with this black box type thing and a special HDMI cable that plugs into the headset. And they just basically, as you said, Doppler, they just stick in more frames, randomly, just whenever, every third, every second, every fifth, whatever, to make it 120.
Well, either they'll be doing 60 frames per second and doing frame projection, or games can do 90 frames per second and then do no frame projection.
Well, when I tried the PSVR on, and I can't tell you where I tried it on and where and how I saw it and what games I played on it, but when I tried it on, it looked spectacular. A black box with a special HDMI cable plugging into the headset, and it all ran on via this black box. Now, it would make sense for the actual PS4K to actually run it on itself and then plug it into the PS4 headset, but I don't see the freaking point. I don't think they'll do that. The only thing the way it looks to me, the PS4, the new PS4, the Neo, I think they're calling it, it won't increase the graphical side of things. It won't increase the resolution in the actual headset to 4K because they're saying, everything will be 4K. No, bullshit. You're just going to upscale it from 1080 to 4K. So I don't think there's actually going to be 4K visuals in the PSVR headset. The only thing I think I can change it is, as you said before, the frame rate. It might help with the frame rate a little bit. Although I don't think it will. I think there'll just basically be a plug and play across, whether it's PS4, PS4 Neo. Just plug it in and it just works. That's what Sony, I think, were trying to go for. I think it will help with the frame rates, perhaps, maybe, but I don't think it will make the output to the PS4K headset or the PSVR headset 4K. This is why I think Grit said, perhaps maybe we'll see it at 1.1, where the display in the PSVR headset is 4K. So yeah, you never know. You just never know. I to be honest, the links we've got, which we'll also share in the description below, guys, is a myriad of links. So you guys can go and read this bits of information and make an informed decision about these bits and pieces. But as far as we can work out, there's no real point to the PS4 Neo. I don't see a point.
Actually, Bamm, there might be. Thinking about PSVR and saying how, the PSVR, at least in its current version, will stay 1080, basically. But if you have a better GPU behind it, could the actual visuals be of a better quality? Have, say, more triangles in a 3D scene, or have more complex scenes? Could PS4K open up better looking VR games?
Now, that is a very interesting topic. I might have to go run away and discuss this with a few of the developers I know. So I am probably going to have to go and do that.
We do know that people have actually panned the Valkyrie version for PS4. They're saying it's not looking as good as it does on PC. And on PS4K, that could actually end up being that it looks almost as good as PC, or however it would be. But I still think the devs would be better off sinking the extra GPU power into the frame rate. It's just, once things get hectic, you don't really care how pretty it is. It's just a matter of whether you can see it.
I can't comment on the I'll talk to Grit. I can't comment on the fact whether PSVR Valkyrie will be any better looking than the the Vive or the HTC version. Fuck me, this is what happens when I drink and tired. Yeah, I can't really comment on the fact if PSVR version of Valkyrie is better than the Vive or the Oculus version of Valkyrie. But yeah, that's an interesting topic we need to discuss further, I think, G. Maybe at a later date.
But yeah, you did also point to something. One of the things that are coming out on this thing is it won't be able to do native 4K gaming. It's just a 4K screen has literally 4 times as many pixels as a 1080p screen. Which means if you do a 1080p, you can just double the size width height-wise, and whoops, you get 4K. The pixels are just twice as big. If you do it a little bit properly, you can interpolate to get nicer pixels in between, but still it's an upscale. And that sounds to be what they are going to do for 4K, so you'll be outputting a 1080p or perhaps a 2K output, and then scaling that up in various ways, either via the TV, because TVs actually come with pretty decent upscalers. Some people also have high-end upscalers that you can get for your home theater, or it will be done inside the PlayStation. And I would be wary if they're doing it inside the PlayStation, because I've been doing comparisons, upscaling SD content, that will be 480 and 540p content, to 1080 on my PS4 versus my PS3. The PS3 does it a lot better than the PS4, actually. The output is quite awesome. That has to do with the cell and how it's being used for it, of course. But I would prefer it if they allow us to at least choose to do it on an external source for upscaling. But no native 4K, I'm okay with that. I think if we have that choice, is it native 4K or is it 60 frames per second on 1080p? I would probably go for the 60 frames per second, or dear developers, start considering if you can't hit 60 to hit 48 frames per second, because that's actually quite an improvement over 30 frames.
Yeah, I think the thing is that I still don't see the point of this PS4K, this new one, this Neo. Yeah, great, cool. I'm struggling to see the point of it. It's being made to produce 4K because there's been, PlayStation, I reckon, are trying to respond to the 4K market that's quite literally just exploded, So perhaps maybe that's a response to that. I don't know. I'm completely stumbled at the fact that they're pulling out a new console halfway through this PS4 cycle. Why didn't they just pull out this PS4 to begin with? They had all the tech. Why didn't they just do it then? Or is it a case of Sony wants to be money grabbers, which I don't think is the case. I just think it's a case of a response to what's happening. And yeah, it's not going to be, I say native, but the PS4 is not going to be putting out 4K resolution. It's going to be an upscaled version of 1080. And if anyone wants a visual part to that, just draw a square box and write 1080 in there, and then put another box next to it, a box underneath it, and a box underneath it, and that's basically what you're going to get. Is going to get that. Basically a big-ass 4K box. And that's it. There's no actual 4K coming out of that. I know it's a very base version of describing it, but essentially that is it. And now I'm going to take it over to Grit because I made a complete ass of myself. Grit!
Yeah, well, for starters, I don't think it's 4 1080 boxes one above the other. I do think they are 2x2, but putting that aside and your atrocious geometry skills, yeah. If that's all we're going to be getting, and I don't know how substantiated those pieces of information are, but if that's all we're going to be getting, then it's fairly pointless. Now, as for why this is coming out, maybe Sony are trying to attract some of the PC master racers who love upgrading every 12 months or so. And now they're giving them consoles that they can upgrade every 12 months or so. So they say, ooh, we can have a console now.
Yeah, let's not forget, Sony's not doing this for us. They're not going out and saying, ooh, I think Bamm would like this. No, they're going out and saying, ooh, gamers are going to want this because we tell them they'll want it. And gamers will buy it. Sony's doing this because it's money. And I can appreciate, Bamm, you don't want to upgrade because, frankly, you're not going to need to. The gameplay, as Grid so eloquently pointed out, is not improving. It's going downhill, at least when he's being really nostalgic. This thing, though, I can see a lot of people who want to think of themselves as competitive shooters, competitive gamers, who are going to say, oh, fuck, I have to upgrade. They don't, but they're going to feel that they have to, and will buy this thing. Now, moms and pops going out to buy consoles, if Sony's going to keep the legacy PS4 around, which I think they're going to, I would like to see them phase it out if they're going to do this thing, but they will keep it around as the cheap option. Moms and pops who buy the most of them, like, I would bet you they bought the first 20-odd millions out of the 38 million PS4 so far. Or shipped, I should say. Yeah, they're going to go for the legacy option. It's the cheaper one, and that's what they buy. It's only going to be for the hardcores and those who know that it exists. Because let's not kid ourselves. If you go out and ask how many right now amongst those 30-odd millions PS4 players and as well the 10 million Xbox One, the 12 million Xbox One owners, how many of them know this thing exists? How many of them know PSVR exists? You're going to come up around, again, I'm pulling a number out from where the sun doesn't shine, but I would bet 20% of them knows it. The rest don't. They have no insight into it. They haven't heard about it. They don't necessarily care about it. So, yeah, Sony's not doing it for you, Bamm. They're doing it because they think there's money in it, and they're doing it to stay a little bit ahead and saying, oh, look, we have a better device, and they can do something fancy with it. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. It's basically, it could just be boiled down to, I mean, I've got the PS4 for the poor people. I'm now I'm going to call myself a poor console peasant because I've got the legacy PS4.
Wait, let's start calling that PS4 peasants.
PS4 peasants. There we go. This will be the PS4 peasants. And people who want to...
Can we do a Sony Peasant 4?
Sony Peasant 4. That will work even better. Look, it's most likely going to be a case of, as you said, the hardcore gamers. So what PS4 have you got? Have you got the legacy PS4 or have you got the PS4K? Oh no, dude, I got the legacy PS4. Well, I have the legacy... I have the PS4K. Basically, an electronic penis measuring stick. A bit like what the PC Master Racers do. You know, I have this, I have that, you are scum, you are nothing, you are a peasant. I'm quite happy sitting with my little PS4. All I want is VR games. I mean, I've been told since the 1980s that I'm going to be playing virtual reality. I've had to wait 20, 30 bloody years for this shit. So now finally I'm going to get it. And if the developers are going to develop for the lowest common denominator, there's going to be no change to the PS4. The PSVR headset is what I'm trying to get at. So lowest common denominator, the PSVR is going to be the same as it's going to be on the PS4K. There's no need for me to upgrade and buy it. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't sniff and sneeze or shit all over it if someone gave me a console. I mean, that's all good and stuff, the latest tech. People like buying the latest tech. But, I still don't see a point of buying a PS4k Neo. I really don't.
How about this one then? What if they go out and do a PS4 Neo K5, whatever, plus PSVR bundle? If they can hit that $7.99 thing that is the same price as HTC Vive. What if you can buy that as one package?
Ooh, now you see, that is very interesting. If that was the case, I might have to reconsider about buying the PSVR headset, because it would come with the PSVR, it would come with 2 controllers, the camera. Ooh, yes.
Camera would be difficult at that price. My guess, if I'm just going to guess prices again, pull numbers out from where it doesn't shine, I do expect we'll see the new PS4 at €400 US dollar and whatever the Great British Pounds will be, and then a cheap version in the 250, 280 range. But at those rates, doing a full package that includes the cameras and controllers at €800 a dollar, that's going to be difficult. That's an uphill.
I reckon Sony will do it. They tend to sell hardware at a loss, but then make it up on the software. I reckon that's probably what they're going to do. But that is very intriguing. Very intriguing. I didn't think of that. I might have to reconsider the budget and speak to the wife and let the wife shout at me going, "Why are you buying more console?"
The deadline for Neo-compatible games is October, which is also the target release date for the PSVR. So there is something there. They both seem to be hitting October, November for their releases and for the holidays. So yeah, my money would be on them trying to make a bundle. Whether they succeed, I don't know. As I said, it's a hard target, that $7.99. If they go above it, people look at that on HTC Vive and go, "I'll take the Vive and the new nVidia graphics card and be done with it."
Yeah, please just bear with me for a second. I'm going to don my tinfoil hat. Give me a second, I'll put it on quickly.
It's still in shape, but you have to make a new one.
Well, I put my believe it or not, I had to straighten it out there, but I put my tinfoil hat on. Okay, speaking about this company we all know and love, called CCP. Now, CCP have just brought out a game called Nova. Yes, demo version. Okay, there was a thing said somewhere along the lines, and I think it's one of the links in the description, that there's a company developing a game specifically for the PS4K that has had extensive work with PlayStation, meow. Now, wouldn't this make sense for Project Nova to be planted onto the PS4 with all the graphics and beautifulness and deliciousness that the PS4K is supposed to provide? Couldn't this be that game that they're developing for the console? Nim?
In theory, maybe, but thinking back to the past and Dust 514 and lots of things, wasn't CCP a big failure?
I don't think so.
In Sony's eyes, and basically screwed them at every single deadline they tried to set?
No, I don't think so. I think it was just a contract that CCP had to fulfill, so that was it. They gave you a 3-year contract, make us a game, make it free-to-play, make it a first-person shooter. And then Pretorius, or Patronus, whatever his name is, came up with a brilliant idea that was a first-person shooter in Eve, and they've done it. Done. Bang, bing, bang, shot. Done. And if it's going to be a lobby shooter like Overwatch is, sorry, Grits, I'm going to cut you there, mate, it's going to be a case of, well, why not develop Neo for the PS4K? Ta-da!
Yeah, but if you think back to, when was it? End of year 2012 or 2013, when Sony started coming out with PlayStation 3 branded hardware like keyboards and I think it was keyboard and something else that came bundled with codes for in-game Dust 514 assets. I think those assets to date still do not exist.
I was not aware of that, and that is interesting to know. Great. So I'm taking my tinfoil hat off. There we go. Project Nova might be coming out on PS4. You heard it here first. PS4k Neo I'm talking about. So that might be a game there.
Just so you're aware, Bamm, You literally just made any Eve player who are listening to this rage quit.
Yes, I know. I make Eve players rage quit regularly.
Okay, so to recap some of the things I've heard in this discussion, the future of gaming in a year or two will basically be couch potatoes who have nothing to do in their lives other than, I don't know, do anything because they don't know what they're doing with their lives, sitting with a VR headset on, using a slightly upgraded, maybe overpriced console, playing a VR version of Candy Crush. Yes?
Yes, agreed. Just leading on from there, Grit, I'm going to take that a little bit further. The point, if anyone's listened to this far, the point you guys need to take away is, one, games are changing. They're not becoming as nostalgic and as information-based as in the meta and the lore inside the game. They're becoming clickbaits and clicking and stuff like Candy Crush. You might find in 2 years that we'll be playing on a VR headset that has all the gubbins inside it to just stream straight from the cloud. We don't know. The future is new. The future is now. The future is in a couple of days. Whatever. So, yeah.
Well, first off, I would say I personally would like one of these new PS4s, because that's the topic we're discussing, not nostalgia games. Mostly because I like the notion that it just runs my games a little bit better. There's some that still have some frame rate issues. And I'm also going to look forward to playing games with a lot of depth beyond Candy Crush, like a next Dragon Age game, like the next, well, basically anything BioWare puts out. This Andromeda's coming out. I know a lot of games are becoming simpler, and I know we just played Overwatch, and as I said, it's an awesome game that's worth every penny of the €30 that I'm willing to pay for it. Not a penny more. Gaming is changing, but it's becoming wider. It's not becoming Candy Crusher. Don't worry, guys. It's not going to be that bad. But it is going to become at least somewhat VR-oriented until they realize that not everybody wants to strap a headset on their face. I have 2 small girls, both of them below the age of 12, so a VR headset is a problem in my household. I don't want my girls to use them because there are actually issues with eye development and VR headsets. This thing, the topic we were discussing, I'm for it. I appreciate you guys don't think it's going to help. I just let's see what they can make out of it. I'm good with it. I don't need it, but I like to try it.
Well, we're not saying it's a bad thing. All we're saying is, yes, it's a step forward, but maybe it's too small of a step for us to actually want it beyond the PlayStation 4s we just have now.
Agreed. Right there, agreed. It's too small of a step. Really, it is. Granted, this is a pretty awesome step to take, but they had the tech 3 years ago. Why didn't they implement this tech then? Why are they implementing it now? Is it going to be a case of never being a PS5 again? A lot of people have said this, including people from Sony. There's never going to be a PS5. So, yeah, too small of a step, too late. I agree with Grit, and I think it's my cynicism and me being an old crusty gamer with a lot of gaming salt on my shoulders. I just don't see the point of a PS4k Neo. Not this far in the cycle.
If you think back a few years, AMD sold off their foundry. That's the place where they make chips. So AMD doesn't actually make the chips themselves. They're using TSMC and other companies to do it for them. They've been waiting for specifically a tech called FinFET to come out. And the question is whether this new chips they're coming out with for this thing, or they're hopefully already start producing, whether they're using FinFET, or if they're simply using a previous generation that is now becoming available because other elements are moving to FinFET. Either way, there's definitely a die shrink involved in this, simply to be able to put twice the number of compute cores in it. That thing is the main driver for this. It's not until they've been able to get the dies shrunk down, gotten the thermal envelope, as it's called, into an area where they can do this, that they're able to do it. They couldn't do it 2 years ago. Should it have been out last year? Yes, that would have been better, because then they've had a leg up on it versus Xbox, as we heard Grit mention, probably coming out in 2018. At least that would be a target. So a little bit late, a little bit not enough, but I think it's worth it. I think it's, if you have the money, go for it. If you don't. If you're going to buy a new PS4 anyway, go for the new one. Don't go for the legacy version. Just enjoy that it's there. And I say that as somebody who's not a PC master racer.
And that's fair play, G. Really, it is fair play to yourself, mate. But I just want a VR headset, and PS4 Neo is not going to increase my experience on the PSVR headset as it stands today, as the information I've read today. Hell, in a year's time, you might find it does. And then I might have to consider your bundle option, the PS4k Neo, as actually increasing my enjoyment, my immersion, my gameplay experience. Then I'm probably going to have to consider that and flog the PS4 Legacy. And then be one of those e-penis extensions. So yeah, I'll have to wait and see. I'm going to be openly skeptical.
Well, here's a prediction for you, Bammy. When Valkyrie comes out, it will come out with a Neo-compatible mode, and that will simply run smoother. It won't run better, it'll run smoother.
I'm going to have to check on that, but we shall soon see. You never know, it might be a topic for discussion in the future of one of our podcasts, so we will have to wait and see.
Well, G, going on what you just said, and you beat me to it, basically, Bamm, I would like to congratulate you for a whole episode, I think, where you haven't mentioned Valkyrie even once.
I was told not to. I am the ultimate Valkyrie fanboy. Honestly, to God, I can't stop talking about Valkyrie. Valkyrie's awesome. Valkyrie's delicious. Go out and play Valkyrie. I'm a fan, screaming fangirl. I love Valkyrie. Valkyrie, yes, please, give me some more of that deliciousness. I'm coming for you, arcade. I'm going to shoot you in the face.
Okay, that's been going on for long enough. Let's finish this discussion. I think we've educated people enough, or at least told them how not to educate themselves. Either way, let's wrap up this episode. People, listeners, viewers, if you like looking at a single image for an hour, and anybody else who might be hearing our voices, please comment. Tell us what you think. Tell us what we need to improve, what's wonderful, what's amazing. Tell us about Valkyrie if you want. And come listen to us next time as well.
Yes, guys, thank you very much for listening to us. Prattle on and bleed your ear parts dry of all the fluids that befell them. Sorry about that. It's just a topic that we thought needed a bit more discussion because a lot of media sources out there that don't actually have all the information and hasn't actually read and just go on one bit of information. So all the information that we have will be in the description below. It'll be on the website, so click on the website, follow the news, and go make an informed decision about yourselves before you buy it. That is enough. And yes, Valkyrie's awesome. Thank you, Grit, for reminding me about talking about Valkyrie. And I'll leave G to do the final sign-off. Guys, thank you very much. Don't forget to comment, like, or dislike, whatever you want to do, just so we know that you're engaged. Guys, thank you very much. Cheers. Bye.
Yeah. Really, guys, educate yourselves. Read the links we put in, because I said a lot of things, and then Bamm said a lot of things that didn't make sense, and then Grid pointed out that Bamm said a lot of things that didn't make sense, and then Bamm said Valkyrie a lot. I hope it helped somehow, but if not, hey, complain to somebody. Us, for example. Talk to eventually. Ciao.